Good evening. Well, not only do we have a major cost of living crisis threatening not just millions of households, but huge numbers of businesses that simply may not be here by Christmas unless they get some help or the price comes down. We also, of course, have an invasion. Yes, it is an invasion coming across the English Channel. And yet, the Prime Minister today, where was he? Well, of course, he was in Ukraine. It's 6 months since the start of that war and 30 years since Ukrainian independence. But don't worry, the country's been in good hands, absolutely. The Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, has been, well, have a look at this picture, because actually he's not really been running the country at all. No, he's been at a kids' play park for the day. Well, I'm sure that's all fine and dandy. But if you get the feeling the country is utterly rudderless, you would be right. And have a look at the threat we're facing. Have a look at this chart of natural gas prices for 2022. Now, you can see that we're now actually higher than we've been at any point in this crisis, roughly treble where gas prices were at the start of this year, and be in no doubt. However much we talk about sanctions that we put on Putin, the truth is he's actually beginning to hurt us economically far more than we are hurting him. But let's have a listen to Boris Johnson on our support for Ukraine and the cost of living crisis in Kiev today.
We know that the coming winter will be tough and that Putin will manipulate Russian energy supplies to try to torment households across Europe. And our first test as friends of Ukraine will be to face down and endure that pressure, to help consumers, but also to build up our own supplies. And I believe that as we come through this winter, our position will strengthen. And with every week, a month that goes by, Putin's position will weaken and his leverage will diminish. And that's why now we must continue and intensify our support.
Well, Boris Johnson there saying that Putin's leverage will weaken. If I think about Boris Johnson's other predictions over the last couple of years, they haven't really been terribly good. Now, bear in mind today he's promised a further £54 million for Ukraine, bringing our total to £2.3 billion. But the real takeout from Boris Johnson's speech is that we will have to endure the pain of the cost of living crisis, and we will do so because we want to support Ukraine. And we abhor what Vladimir Putin has done. And I want to ask you at home simply, are you prepared to go on paying that price? Let me know what you think. Farage at GBNews.uk. And I'm not saying any of this because I think Putin's a good chap and Ukraine don't have a great case. I'm really saying that we've got ourselves into a terrible energy mess. Much of the problem we've got here is, in my opinion, a self-inflicted wound through our own sheer stupidity, short-sightedness, of course, and bowing to that great goddess, Greta Thunberg. Yes, the geniuses in Westminster, from both the leading parties, are happy for us to go on exporting heavy manufacturing jobs and importing as much energy as possible whilst we could produce it here. So I wonder, could we get cheaper energy? Could we get better supply? Are there better ways of doing this? And my fear, my genuine fear, is that Putin is actually going to turn down those taps even more over the course of the coming months. And I think you'll find that European support for Ukraine, EU support for Ukraine, is going to dwindle. I can already see a different narrative in German tabloids like Bild. No longer is Zelensky the hero. They're now starting to talk about just how corrupt Ukraine is as a country. And I wonder whether Boris Johnson's successor will have the same level of support for Ukraine as he does.